Tom, an 83-year-old man, had been living alone and struggling with mobility issues. He decided to hire a carer named Emma to help him around the house. Emma was kind, attentive, and they got on well. They spent time chatting about their shared interests in gardening and music. After 4 months, Emma noticed that Tom had been acting strange, so she decided to investigate. She discovered a secret cellar hidden behind a bookshelf. She immediately sued him after seeing what was inside. It was time to take action. She had been waiting for this moment for days, and now it had finally come. Tom had gone outside and she was home alone, and she knew that this was her best chance at finding out what was going on with him. He had been acting strange lately, and Emma was sure that it had something to do with this bookshelf. She had seen him pushing it around a few times, but he never wanted to tell her what was going on. Each time, he came up with an excuse about a book he was looking for. When she pushed the bookshelf to the side, she found the hidden door behind it. And as she descended into the basement, she felt like she couldn't breathe anymore. She couldn't believe that he had been keeping this from her. She immediately left his house and called her lawyer. What did Emma find in the cellar? Why had Tom been hiding it from her? And why did she sue him? But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so you never miss any of our upcoming stories. Good morning, beautiful, Tom greeted Emma as she came down for breakfast. It wasn't the way you would expect a man of almost 70 to greet his carer, but in the last few months, Tom and Emma's relationship had become more than just strictly professional. He had hired her as his carer a couple of months ago, but since then, much had changed. One day, he realized that he had fallen in love with her, and he knew he needed to tell her how he felt. He decided to write her a letter and give it to her after dinner one night. He hadn't really known what to expect, but he never thought that that night would be the start of their relationship. After Emma read the letter, she hugged him and confessed to him that she felt the same. And, well, the rest was history. From that evening, they were officially a couple. Soon after, Emma moved in with Tom and stayed there 24/7. She figured she had to visit Tom every day anyway, and now that they both knew they had feelings for each other, she might as well stay there and save the time it took her to commute. Emma had claimed the guest room. She was in a relationship with Tom, yes, but she still preferred to sleep in her own room. He snored very loudly and she was a light sleeper. This way they both could get a good night's rest and wake up on their own time before joining the other for breakfast. Because Emma did most of the housework, Tom usually made breakfast for the both of them. He woke up earlier than her, anyway, and he didn't mind. The morning had always been his favorite part of the day, and getting to spend it with Emma only made it better. "Good morning," she replied, as she took place at the dinner table. Breakfast was ready and served, and it was still warm. It smelled delicious, and to anybody else, it might have seemed like the perfect start to the day. However, to Emma, it wasn't. She couldn't stop thinking about something that had happened last week, and again this morning. It was the first time she suspected something was wrong, and Tom pretended like it hadn't even happened. She didn't know what to think anymore, and it was killing her. Usually she slept straight until her alarm went off, but a couple of days ago, she had been awakened by some weird noises. She had laid in her bed, wide awake, wondering what that sound had been, and for some reason, she just couldn't let it go. So, she got up and walked out of the room, curious to find out. She had heard him messing around downstairs, and she thought he might need some help. So, she walked down the stairs, but when she saw what he was doing, she was confused. She didn't know what she had expected to see, but it certainly wasn't this. For some reason, he was pushing the bookshelf in the hallway. She didn't understand what he was doing, but she thought he might need her help. "Tom, why didn't you call me? Let me help you with his," she said. However, his reaction surprised her. As soon as he heard her say his name, he was startled and he quickly turned around, his eyes wide, stammering, "Oh, Emma." He almost lost his balance and Emma ran to him, preventing him from falling. "Yes, you messing around with this bookshelf woke me silly." "Is everything okay?" she asked. Yes, everything is fine. I'm sorry for waking you. Come, let's go have breakfast now. I'm hungry, aren't you?" Tom seemed in a hurry to get away from this bookshelf, and Emma didn't understand why. Wait a second. What's going on? What were you doing with this shelf anyway?" she asked. But no matter what she said, Tom didn't seem to want to talk about it. "Nothing, I was just looking for a book. I thought I had put it here, but I was mistaken. I just remembered it's in my room." "Come, let's have breakfast." Emma finally gave in and said, "All right, let's go then. What's for breakfast today?" And that was the end of it. She had asked him a few more times what he had been doing with the shelf, and she told him, you do know that whatever it is, I can help you with it, okay? However, Tom insisted that he had just been looking for a book, so Emma decided to let it go. During the next few days, she almost forgot about that one weird morning. Everything went back to normal, and she didn't even think about the bookshelf anymore. It had completely left her mind, until this morning, when she caught him messing around with that same bookshelf again. Only this time she had seen what he was actually doing, and she couldn't believe it. Now, there was no doubt about it anymore. She was sure that he was keeping a secret from her. She had seen what the real purpose was of that bookshelf. There was a hidden door behind it. She had seen it with her own eyes, and it was obvious that he didn't want her to know about it. Otherwise, he would have just told her about it. She decided to confront him again, and she walked into the hallway. Tom, darling, didn't I tell you that I can help you with that? It's really not good for your back to be doing that by yourself. Again, he had jumped up as soon as he heard her voice, and this time, he seemed very annoyed with her. She wondered if he knew that she had seen him. It's nothing, he said. Breakfast will be ready soon. He walked past her right into the kitchen and started preparing pancakes, and Emma went back to bed because she was still really tired. However, she ended up tossing and turning for another hour. She just couldn't forget about that bookshelf and the hidden door. She realized that Tom was, indeed, lying to her. This was so unlike him. Ever since they met, they had been open and honest with each other. Or, well, that's what she thought. Now, she wasn't so sure anymore. She just couldn't let it go. And now they were having breakfast and Tom pretended like she hadn't even come down earlier that morning. Everything seemed perfectly normal. But Emma just couldn't shake the feeling that he was hiding something from her. She knew that she had to move that bookshelf, and she needed to do it without him seeing. It would be difficult, she already knew that. Luckily for her, one of Tom's friends called him that evening, asking him to go bird watching tomorrow early morning. This was going to be her perfect chance. She only had to get up in time and find the key, and then she could open the door and check what was behind it. A part of her still hoped that she wouldn't really find anything behind that bookshelf, and that she had indeed imagined all of it. When she went to bed that night, she set the alarm for 5:10 a.m. Tom's friend would pick him up at 5, so she hoped to have enough time to find the answers she was looking for. She went to sleep feeling a bit anxious, not knowing what kind of secrets she would unravel. When her alarm went off the next morning, she almost snoozed it and turned around to go back to sleep. Luckily, after 2 seconds, she jumped up, realizing that it was time for action. She quickly got dressed and walked to Tom's room to check whether it was empty, and she saw that it was. She slowly went downstairs, making as little noise as possible, just in case Tom's plans had changed and he hadn't left yet. Taking a deep breath, she slowly turns the doorknob, revealing a narrow staircase leading into an abyss of uncertainty. As she begins her descent, Emma holds onto the rickety railing, the wooden steps groaning beneath her weight. The deeper she goes, the tighter her chest feels, a mix of fear and anticipation, with memories of old stories about the house playing in her mind. Reaching the base, a cold draft greets her, bringing with it the pungent odor of dampness and decay. Moldy books and discarded clothes litter the ground. The scent reminds her of long-forgotten secrets, buried beneath layers of time and mystery, and she wonders how many stories this cellar might hold. The dim light reveals walls adorned with framed memories. Pictures of a young Tom, vibrant and in love, contrast sharply with the frail man she knows now. She sees him dancing, laughing, and holding a woman closely, a stark difference from the solitary figure upstairs. Other photos show family gatherings, holidays, and celebrations, evoking emotions of longing and sorrow. How did such a vibrant man come to be so alone and surrounded by shadows? Suddenly, a distant murmur breaks her concentration. She freezes, straining her ears. It sounds like Tom's voice, but distorted, as if carried by the wind. Panic swells within her. She debates whether to hide or rush back up, the weight of her discovery pressing on her. As weeks turned into months, Tom began to surprise Emma with little presents. At first, she found them endearing, a trinket here, a scarf there. But with time, she began to notice an uncanny familiarity about them. The locket he gifted her, though tarnished by age, bore a striking resemblance to one she had misplaced years ago. It couldn't be the same one, could it? The coincidences became too much to ignore. Things began to go amiss in Emma's life. She'd reach for her grandmother's old brooch or her favorite pen and find them missing. Each disappearance further heightened her unease. Every corner of the house seemed to echo with soft whispers, pointing her toward the basement. The missing items, combined with Tom's peculiar gifts, seeded a nagging doubt in her mind. Was it all related? During their evening chats, Tom regaled Emma with tales from his youth. Each story brimmed with passion, love, and often heartbreak. They spoke of a woman with raven black hair, whose laughter reminded him of spring. A woman who, through some tragedy or misunderstanding, had drifted away. Listening to Tom's melancholic reflections, Emma felt both empathy and unease. What had turned passionate love into sorrow? One evening, she discovered a hidden door behind an old cabinet. Though dusty, it showed signs of recent use. The mystery sent chills down her spine. Unsure of what to do, she confided in her friend Sarah, who urged her to confront Tom. But Emma hesitated, unsettled by his growing list of random chores. Was he trying to keep her distracted? Then, Tom announced he was leaving for a short trip. Emma saw her chance. As night fell, she stood before the hidden door, ready to uncover its secrets. The weight of her decision pressed on her. Though she valued boundaries, curiosity won. She had to open the door. Beyond it, a dimly lit staircase led downward. As Emma descended, the air grew colder, and an eerie silence surrounded her. At the bottom, a familiar scent, her own perfume, unnerved her. Then she saw them, photographs of different people, some resembling her. The realization sent chills down her spine. Hidden under dusty sheets, she uncovered vintage records, furniture, and trinkets, pieces of Tom's unknown past. But before she could process it all, familiar footsteps echoed. Tom was back early. Heart pounding, Emma fled up the stairs, knowing she had only scratched the surface of his secrets. Back in her room, guilt crept in. Had she gone too far? Was she wrong about him? The weight of her actions bore down on her. When Tom returned, he seemed unchanged, laughing about his trip. Yet Emma sensed something was off, his laughter forced, his silences heavy. The house felt more enigmatic than ever. Unable to shake her unease, Emma decided to return to the basement. As she searched, her fingers brushed against something familiar, her heart-shaped bracelet, lost months ago. Then she found more, her favorite pen, a scarf, a candid photo of her. These weren't just objects, they were pieces of her life. With growing dread, she documented everything, snapping photos as evidence. Then, beneath a stack of newspapers, she found a leather-bound book. Inside, Tom had detailed his growing obsession, the thrill of taking her belongings to feel closer to her. Emma's skin crawled. She was living with a man she barely knew. Without hesitation, she called her closest friend, Lisa, knowing she couldn't face this alone. "You shouldn't be alone for this," Lisa insisted. They planned the confrontation carefully, choosing a day when Lisa could be there for support. As the day unfolded, everything seemed normal, birds chirping, neighbors going about their routines, but Emma's heart pounded with anticipation. Every interaction with Tom felt like a prelude to the storm ahead. When the moment arrived, Emma, with Lisa beside her, confronted Tom. "I found my things," she said, "in the basement." Tom's face shifted from surprise to guilt, then resignation. What followed was an emotional whirlwind, accusations, explanations, and revelations of his deep infatuation. Emma felt anger, sadness, and even a strange sympathy for the man she once trusted. Determined to protect herself, Emma met with a lawyer. In the calm office, she outlined the disturbing details, gaining clarity on her rights and possible legal actions. Soon, police cars lined the street. Investigators combed through Tom's house, uncovering months, possibly years of obsession. As the case reached the courtroom, public interest soared. Lawyers presented their arguments, evidence was examined, and the story of Tom's dangerous fixation with Emma unfolded before the world. Every statement and piece of evidence was carefully examined in court, revealing the depth of Tom's obsession. When he took the stand, his voice trembled as he spoke of loneliness and regret, portraying himself as a misunderstood man seeking connection. The courtroom held its breath as the verdict was delivered. After hours of deliberation, a decision was made, sealing both their futures. Emma, though relieved, struggled with the emotional scars. Therapy, support groups, and loved ones helped her heal. She sold the house, moved away, and focused on rebuilding her life. Over time, she turned her pain into purpose, advocating for mental well-being and personal boundaries. Tom, in his solitude, was haunted by regret. He relived the moment of Emma's betrayal and sought answers within himself. Years later, Emma and Tom crossed paths at a park bench. Their conversation was cautious but heavy with unspoken emotions. As they shared their journeys, Emma extended understanding and Tom tearfully sought forgiveness. Their story became a testament to human emotions, the importance of boundaries, the power of healing, and the possibility of redemption. Trust, once broken, was hard to mend but not impossible. After their encounter, Emma and Tom went their separate ways, forever changed. Emma's advocacy work took her around the world. while Tom sought redemption through volunteering. Their story became a symbol of resilience and transformation. As their chapter ended, it left a lasting impact, challenging others to reflect on boundaries, understanding, and the complexities of human connection. Thank you for watching. If you like this story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscription, and ring the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming stories.